Happy Peeps, healthy chat. It's Peepschat. Assalamualaikum and welcome back to our first episode of the 10th season. I am Liana binti Abdulatif, your host for tonight. Alright, so I'm sure all of you out there are IIUM students and must be aware that we are approaching the middle of semester. So I'm sure all of you and myself are quite busy with assignment deadlines, midterm quizzes, and so forth. So this leads to our topic for tonight, unveiling the secrets to making Dean's List. So join with me is actually an IIUM alumni from the Kuliah of Economics and Management Sciences, and actually our special guest has a history of obtaining two awards, two consecutive ones at that, called the Best Student Entrepreneurship Award during 2021 and the following year, 2022. So let's give a warm welcome to our guest, Brother Muhammad Nabil Fikri Sulaiman. Assalamualaikum, brother. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, good. How about you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine as well. How does it feel like to be back to your alma mater?
Good. After a while,
Uh-huh.
it's good to be back, and also in this room, to be exact. I mean, it's very nostalgic as well because I'm part of the IIUM TV crew members as well back then during my studies. So it's good to be back. Thank you for having me. Very honored to be called this time as a guest. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for sparing your time with us tonight, and it's also a pleasure and honor of you and as a senior of IMTV and also IIUM to join us tonight. All right, and you're also the director of Nabillion Empire. So without further ado, let's start with our discussion tonight with the first question. Could you, Brother Nabil, give us a quick tour of your academic journey? You know, like how did it begin, and how did you, what made you strive to consistently maintain and excel in your studies?
Okay. Hi. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
So basically, I started with IIUM back then in 2018. Okay. With foundation studies under CFS. So we had like 2 semesters here in Gombak for foundation studies, but now I don't think so. It's no longer a campus for CFS now. But then during our last semester, we were transferred to Kuantan campus. So it was like a different experience for our last semester there, and then we came back here for my undergraduate studies under the Kuliah of Economics and Management Sciences, as you mentioned, majoring in economics.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, it was a very beautiful academic journey in IIUM. Yeah, I had a good time here, very much memories, and yeah.
Right, that's really nice to hear that. I'm happy for you that you experienced
you.
such a wonderful time. But like, you know, how was it like shifting from one campus to another? Especially Kuantan is pretty far. So how
Yeah.
did you manage that?
Far is a thing because I was an off-campus student. So when we were in Gombak, I was traveling back and forth from my home just in Wangsa Maju to Gombak. It's just like 10 minutes away, 10 to 15 minutes away. But then when we were being transferred to Kuantan, so I had my full full in-campus life with my friends. But it happen. I'm glad that happened. I had a good time also. I mean, even though sweat, tears happened there. I mean, it's a different experience, different environment there in Kuantan compared to here in Gombak. But yeah, we survived, and also for for my undergraduate studies back then, I started undergraduate in 2019. 2019. So we were back here in Gombak. So yeah, it was great to. I mean, actually, when you started with CFS Foundation Studies, you already had like a group of friends. I mean, most of them from Foundation Studies, they would just get into the undergraduate studies with IIUM itself. So it's great to see familiar faces and continue striving.
I totally agree with that. I've noticed several of my friends have their own friend group from CFS. And also you mentioned earlier just now there were moments where sweat and tears were shed, and of course it was to maintain in excelling your studies. So Of course, I think to many students, achieving the Dean's List is a mixture of challenges and also excitement. So to you, having those accomplishments, what does it mean to you, on an academic level and personally to you?
Okay, for Dean's List, personally, for myself, it's more of a self-satisfaction. Okay, self-satisfaction, self-accomplishment. So, but for myself, being on the Dean's List is not my ultimate or my first goal. It's one of those goals that I wanted to strive for, go for. But personally, I had like a range of CGPA that I want to maintain throughout my academic journey in IIUM. So I was making sure that I was within that range, okay, not falling too much apart from that range. But yeah, sometimes we just plan, but sometimes I got it, but sometimes we fall a bit out of the track or like the goals that we wanted. But it's okay. Actually, when you fall, actually, let's say I wanted to maintain a 3.924 like of CGPA for every semester. So there are times that I had like 3.8 something. Okay, so when that happened, your overall CGPA will like it's an accumulation, right?
Yeah.
So it affects my CGPA. So it's actually motivates me to do better for the next upcoming semester, so that I could catch back on that. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure maintaining that certain satisfaction and grade was quite a responsibility, right? So how did you manage with time management? I'm sure it was a struggle for you as well. So could you share some strategies on effective time management and ensuring that you stayed on top of your studies?
Okay, I'm sure time constraint is an issue for
Yeah.
every students out there, not just students. Maybe now when we are working, it's still an issue. So managing your own time, having a good time management is something that you really need to work on in every person, I believe. So for as a student, I wouldn't say that I have a particular or like a specific schedule of studies. Just that I had like this one schedule app on my phone for my classes, but not for my revision time or my when do I exactly do. I mean, when do I specifically complete my coursework and stuff. So it's more on I give myself some flexibility there. So but the deadline, you aware of the deadlines. So be flexible, and I just more of an imaginary schedule
Schedule
on
just to
that.
keep
Yeah,
track of
yeah,
what
just to
needs to
keep track.
get done now.
But the to-do list,
Mm-hmm.
there was a to-do list.
Right.
As a student, it's very important also to jot down on. You need to be aware of the deadlines lah.
Yeah, and also like you mentioned, in just one day you're packed with schedule, and that's not even with your coursework, right? It's outside
Yeah.
of that. So I'm sure you've encountered moments of stress, so and burnouts maybe. So how do you manage stress and also maintain your focus on academics, during those challenging times?
Yeah. Okay, stress, burnout is something that you can avoid as a student.
For
Okay,
sure.
so I personally myself I experienced that too. For myself, I would prefer my classes to be alternately a full day of classes. Let's
Back
say
to back.
not like straight. I mean, like not every day having a full day class, but let's say on Monday I would prefer to have a full day class, but then on Tuesday I'll give myself just a half day of class. Then the remaining days I would do to I would make time for my coursework revisions, or also make some time with our friends to go out
Right.
and be flexible.
Flexible and
Yeah.
also have that moment to yourself and
Yeah,
also
it's
enjoying the
very
life you
important to have
got.
the balance
But
in our study life. Yeah.
right. So I'm sure throughout managing your time and also moments of stress and burnouts, there must be where you have your own approach in studying, and I'm sure different approaches apply to different people. So what worked best for you?
Okay, for myself, in terms of reading subjects, I would say that I do memorize those facts, but at the same time, in order for you to memorize, to really remember those facts, you need to have a good application. I would apply, I mean, I would make I will think of an application in our daily life so that I will remember that, or I will understand that better. So that's in economics in terms of our purchasing pattern and stuff. I mean, it's easy to relate to our daily lives because we are experiencing that, right? But same goes to accountings and stuff, and any other subjects that you are, I mean, any other fields that you are doing. I believe you in order for you to remember better, to memorize better those facts, those facts, and syllabus. It's good to have like an application of understanding instead of just theoretical understanding. Yeah.
Right. So building onto that, like, is that the same approach applied when you're doing your coursework, or is it just, studying in your notes
Yeah.
for
For
exams?
coursework, we do have like coursework that requires. I mean, most of the coursework normally it's more an application compared to just theoretical stuff. Unless it's for quizzes. Okay. For exams, most of them are, syllabus based. I mean, theories. But for coursework, mostly they would applies more on application. Okay,
Right.
so that's why I mentioned earlier it's good for you to have like a better understanding or relation on the application in your daily life compared to just memorizing the
Right.
books and the facts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because the concept of application and understanding how to apply in your daily life compared to theoretical, it's more, it will work best for your field of
It
work
works for
lah.
me, but I'm not sure for
Yeah.
others. Okay,
Right.
but
But
I think yeah, it's better that way. I mean,
yeah,
I
for
could
sure.
remember or memorize that better.
But okay, so I think there's so much more to discuss, but let's take a break for now. I'm sure our audience out there would also like to take a break. So please don't forget to tune in our second segment for Happy Peeps Healthy Chat. It's Peeps Chat. Happy Peeps, Healthy Chat. It's Peeps Chat. All right, welcome back to our second segment of tonight's episode. So, just a little recap of what was discussed earlier. Brother Nabil mentioned about how to manage time management, also stress and burnout, and also what study approach work best for you individually. So, Brother Nabil, back to you. Let's continue on with our discussion. So, the next question that I would like to put onto you is, of course, when you were in your university life, apart from academics, I'm sure there was a life outside of it where you were involved in extracurriculars, maybe any programs that you were involved with. So if you were involved in any, how did you enjoy doing it, and what clubs or societies were you in, and how did those experiences contribute to your excellency during the studies and right now?
Okay. For myself, I was actively involved in extracurricular activities during the first 2 years of my studies, I guess, just pre-COVID era. Okay,
Pre-COVID,
because during
okay.
my third and fourth year, it was like COVID era, so
Oh, when it
we had like
hit.
online teaching and also
Mm-hmm.
hybrid mode. Okay, so during the first 2 years, I was actively involved or engaged with my Kuliah's-based society. We call it econs double S.
Econs of
Econs, the last line is
society.
society. Okay, econs. So even before that, during my CFS studies, I was the vice president for our
Ooh.
econ society. Okay, during CFS, but then for our during my undergraduate studies, I actively involved with programs. I was once the treasurer,
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship team. Okay, also like program manager, program coordinator. I've done that all.
Whoa.
So I would say this outside of class activities actually it gives me like a pastime activities instead of you just focusing on your in-class activities, your studies, your coursework. So when you get out of the class, you involve with this, and you know that you have things to do outside of the class, like for events, like handling events. It gives me like a balance of studies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually, I would say, for myself, it helps with my stress management. So I think I release, or I find relief in doing these extracurricular activities
I see.
personally for myself. Yeah.
I relate to that
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent because I'm also involved in other society clubs, and I definitely like
Also,
resonate with that. Yeah.
IMPB, I was one
Exactly.
the crew members for
Uh-huh.
IMPB, so it was nice. I was involved with the Worry X team
Mm-hmm.
back then in 2020, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Worry X team. So there in our team, they were a mixture of local and foreign students.
Right.
So it was nice to. I mean, those students. I mean, in the team, they were like mixed kuliahs. Okay, so it's nice to get into a team or like a group or circle of people,
Mm-hmm.
the like fresh faces, new faces, you to know, and make new friends, new
Yeah,
networks.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned it yourself, you're
Mm-hmm.
meeting new people, new
Yeah.
faces, all from different kuliahs. So of course it's inevitable that you'll be working with new people,
Yeah.
obviously from different backgrounds and also
Mm-hmm.
different morals. So I'm sure there will be challenges, right,
Mm-hmm.
working in a team. And do you have any advices or experiences you would like to share with myself and the audience who have trouble with working with other people in a team?
Okay, like for myself, I think for in this context, we could relate on group works. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when we were assigned of coursework in a group, and most of our lecturers here, they would prefer it to be a mixture of, sometimes mixtures of brothers and sisters, sometimes mixtures of local and foreign students. Some of my lectures, they put a ratio on local and foreign students so that it
Mm-hmm.
will be a balance of both. And I did experience like I can relate to many students out there like free riders, you know.
Oh
Okay,
my
so
goodness.
I mean, that's normal. For myself, during the first few experiences that I have experienced with free riders,
Mm-hmm.
so I was the type that okay, let him or let her be. If she or he doesn't want to contribute to this,
Mm-hmm.
let him or her be. I won't like even report to our lecturers. I mean, we would just me and the remaining of my friends would just work on that project. But then I realized that when we normalize that, we just let them go. They find that it's normal to not contribute to this group work. So
Right.
it's sometimes, I mean, during my last semester,
Mm-hmm.
I faced with a person that considered to be a free rider,
Oh
okay,
no.
which didn't really contribute much,
Uh,
escaping from discussion and stuff. And even till our submission day, just like there were like four of us in a group, so just the three of them working, another one is escaping all the time. So I think like I cannot let this go this time. So what I did was like I mean, I told the lecturers, I mean, not trying to be like petty or what, but
mm-mm.
I think I need to teach this person a lesson, because she was a second or third year student, not a final year. I think if she was a final year student, I would just let her go.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want that to happen in the next upcoming projects. And I mean, other people need to face or like need to deal with her attitude.
Right,
So
with
I
that
think
behavior.
we shouldn't just let this thing go, just stay silent. I think maybe some of you out there would just do that. Okay, like it's okay. Let's just cover up for him or her. But if you'll do it all the time, then these people wouldn't change or like
Right.
learn a lesson.
Yeah, and personally, I'm sure many of us experience the same situations as well. And I think it's very encouraging of you to do that. And it's understanding that action comes with consequences, right? And of course, when certain situations like this occur, there must be some sort of support system, whether it be from your friends, family, and maybe even the surroundings of your kuliah. So I think many would agree that their biggest support system would be from family, friends, and their surroundings. So do you share the same opinion and value on that statement?
Indeed. I believe that plays a huge role, family, friends. Okay, even for myself in this campus, during my academic journey, my family, uh, I mean, they've been the huge support system for me, as well as my friends. I mean, when you study in a campus life, you need to get you need to be in the right circle of friends where you can study, you can also mingle around to I mean, you know when to be serious to study and when to play around. Okay, so I mean, for myself, I would say personally, I'm quite a hard person on myself.
Okay.
Okay, so I need these different friends that have different way of studying to actually not to actually tell me that, okay, don't be too hard on yourself.
To
Okay,
kind of like remind you,
yeah,
is
to
it?
remind me on that, because sometimes even my family, even my mom, sometimes she would like tell me, oh, like you've been studying, or like you've been like too serious on a certain in studies. Okay, uh, stress over like exams and stuff. But when you have a good friend support system, they, I mean, you know where I mean, it creates balance. I think it's all about balance when you study. So even when you are burning out or like stressed out, when you have these friends, so yeah, it helps.
Right. So I believe support system is very pivotal in every student's journey. So I was wondering, like, is there a difference between the family and friends, or is it more or less the same?
Sometimes for family, they don't really get what we are dealing with. Okay, like for our friends, they are on the same page with us, so they can relate better, I
They
guess.
understand.
So yeah, I think I wouldn't say that family doesn't play a role here, but maybe in general support system, they do play their roles. But for friends, they can relate better with us because
Right.
they are maybe experiencing the same thing, they are doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So, because you did mention about friends experiencing the same thing and it's quite relatable, I'm sure there are instances where either one of you, yourself, or your friends would fall down. So, do you think it's fine to advise the other person that it's okay to fall down? You can come back stronger. If so, why do you think it's fine to do that?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's normal also to fall sometimes. Okay, maybe I'm sure generally we all want to strive to always be the best, to get like good grades, but we know that we just plan, but God's plan is better.
For sure.
Maybe like in a particular semester you fall in a particular semester, maybe it to actually motivates you for the next upcoming semester, so that you don't like play around too much. Okay, so it's normal for myself. Even there are semesters where I got like a good grades, but there are also semesters that I don't get what I expected. But that's normal, and it's back to what we have discussed earlier, family and friends. Because whenever I get my result, I'll tell my parents, and I don't really share my grades with my friends, honestly.
Yeah.
But so my parents would like uh give me support in that.
Words of motivation, is it? Right, talking about words of motivation, do you think it's important? Like, does that concept, words of motivation, maybe words of affirmation, does that play an important role? But
Yeah.
I think that should be further discussed right now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Words of affirmation
Yeah.
is actually one of the ways I deal with stress
Uh-huh.
and stuff. I think I love reading words of affirmations, like
Right.
good quotes that actually I don't know, it just worked for me. Maybe not for others, but in the morning I would love to like just scroll around any good words of affirmation relating to my
Oh,
my daily
yeah.
life. So
I totally agree with that because
yeah.
I'm someone who gives words of affirmation to people. But before we proceed on with our last segment, unfortunately, let's take our last break. And before any of you go for your remaining night, please do come back for our last segment of Happy Peeps Healthy Chat. It's Peeps Chat. Happy Peeps, Healthy Chat. It's Peeps Chat. All right, welcome back to our last segment of tonight's episode. Unfortunately, but again, just as usual, a recap of what was previously discussed in our segment before this. Brother Nabil did emphasize on an important support system of friends and families, as well as never giving up on yourself and going back up when you fall down. All right, Brother Nabil, going back to you. Fortunately, we are reaching the end of our discussion, but we do have a few questions left to discuss. And going back to the topic, unveiling the secrets of reaching the dean's list. Of course, to obtain a dean's list, you will need to be in communication with lecturers, right? And I believe some students might find that situation quite intimidating. And lecturers do play quite a pivotal role, right? So how do you, especially as a student, build that bond, the authentic bond with lecturers?
Okay, how do I, not really a strong bond with all lecturers,
Or
honestly.
maybe the way you approach them?
But yeah, I think it's good for you to approach our lecturers
Mhm.
because I mean sometimes we students we do have that fear of approaching our lecturers, or we don't see the importance of consulting our lecturers. But actually, in terms of coursework,
Right.
I would always consult with our lecturers on they will give us a rubric on every coursework that they assign us. So I will always come back to our lecturers and ask them what exactly they want, in what form and whatnot. Okay, because sometimes the rubrics are very general, so you want to know. I mean, you want to get a good marks for your coursework, right? So I would. For coursework, yes, I agree, or I admit I did consult I think most of our all of my lecturers for every subject, for every coursework that they assign. I would always get back to them and ask them, okay, for this particular point, what do you want exactly? Like, do you want in what form? Do you want any attachments and stuff? Okay, but for studies or for understanding purposes, normally I would focus more on in the class.
Mhm.
Okay, and maybe if I were to consult the lectures, it would normally a very short one after class. Right after class, before I left the class, I would just go to the lecture and ask that I wasn't clear of. Okay, but the rest, if I wasn't clear of anything, it's more of come in a group with the friends and we discuss on that. But for coursework, I would normally go to them. I mean, for our lecturers in IIM, they are very I mean, they are more like very warm, I would say, compared to abroad university lecturers. I think in IUM itself, they are very open. They would love to have us coming to their rooms. I do have lectures not just to consult, but to just have like a chat with
With
them.
the
Okay, but you know which lecture you can do that or which lecture you cannot do that. So you know your lectures better, and you know like what kind of bond that you can establish with your lecture. Different lectures, different type of
approaches.
approaches. Yeah.
Right. So you would definitely agree, like, the bond or maybe the relationship between a student and lecturer is quite important throughout the 4 years of
Yeah.
education. Yes.
Yeah, especially as I mentioned earlier on coursework, because most of our how do I say, our carry marks. I mean, it contributes quite a huge chunk in our grades, right, for our coursework. So it's important for you to really, really excel, or like it's not impossible to get full marks for your coursework.
Right.
So in order to do that, in order to get that, you can just go and consult your lecturers. And normally for coursework, they would provide a consultation time or hours.
Right. And that's actually quite an important concept to actually practice as a student. To actually be brave and go up to the lecturer and
Sometimes like not all
ask.
students have the
Courage.
audacity or
Yeah,
courage
that's
to
true.
go to their lectures. So
Exactly.
you need to be one of the few people that have the courage to go to
Yeah.
your lectures. So you would get more points compared
Definitely.
to others.
And it really helps yourself to understand the course material better, right? So actually about that, consulting lecturers and asking them for guidance, and you were talking about your course materials and as well as assignments. How has the contribution from lecturers during consultation hours as well as the guidance you receive from them, how has that effectively influenced your understanding of course materials and your overall academic performance?
I mean, it really influenced a lot. I mean, by the consultation. But as I mentioned earlier, for syllabus or like for studies base, I don't really consult my lecturers. I don't really consult my lecturers. So we were normally doing a study group. But for coursework, I did. So, but I believe that really helps also when you form a good bond with your lecturers, it also not just help you during your study journey. Even like right now, I still keep in touch with few of my lecturers from during my studies. So when you have that bond with your lecturers, it's nice not to just keep in touch with them during your study period, but also maybe once you have graduated, when you see them around, or like you can always, maybe you need some recommendations, or maybe you might need their assistance in your after or in your post study journey as well.
So again, it really brings up to our point earlier just now, the importance of the support we get from lecturers as well as just that common bond we have,
Even like
right?
I had like I would say a good relationship with one of my lecturers, which now she has migrated to the UK. So like recently, she called me upon for a talk with her students there.
Oh, that's
So
cute.
it's you see, you'll never thought of that kind of
Yeah.
opportunity you would get in the future, right? So maybe that's why I said, well, it's not just for a study academic journey, but maybe your post study journey as well.
Right. You also mentioned about having the opportunity, right, outside from your studies. So our next question is actually touches a little bit on that. So obviously, obtaining the dean's list is an achievement on its own, but of course, I'm sure there must have been doors that were open to you, maybe any opportunities or accomplishments that came your way. So if you don't mind, are there any standout moments that you would like to share to myself and the audience who are watching this live tonight?
For our kuliahs back then, those dean list students, we didn't have like any ceremony, but for other kuliahs, I think for law back then they had a ceremony for every dean list students. But for our kuliah back then, I'm not sure now, but back then they didn't have any official ceremony. But I remember during one of this semester during COVID, where we were experiencing online studies. So for these dean's list students, they made like a designated post on social media, and they had like this one ceremony. I'm not sure on I think on YouTube, where they made like a slideshow of all these Dean list performers. Okay, so besides that, as you mentioned earlier on the show, I was awarded with the recognition of the Best Student Entrepreneurship Award, and also maybe like little things like being on the rector's list during my graduation. I mean, they put our names, me and a few of my friends, on the program book. I still remember that. So I mean, these little things also some things that make you feel okay, I've done my part, and
Right.
like
You've done your
you've
best.
done your best lah. Yeah.
Right. And also, it's quite interesting that you were the batch that was like first half pre-COVID
Yeah.
physically, and then the second half, boom, it was online. It
True.
was very no social interactions at all. So how is that with you? Like, you know, managing your studies individually, and then you know with your bond with lecturers, friends, all the support system. How did you manage that between those two situations? Must
I
have been
think we were
different.
quite fortunate on that because we had like 2 years of in campus, like fully in campus experience. But then during my third and fourth year, it was online and hybrid mode. So we had established this friendship or relationship with our lecturers and friends for the first 2 years. But I think I'm quite wonder how those students that enroll in the university during COVID, because they started with online. Okay, so well, they started with online. Maybe their first year was fully online, but then they need to come back to the campus without knowing their friends,
Right.
without having they never met them physically before. So that I think that's quite a challenge
Challenge.
for them compared to myself. For ourselves, because for the first 2 years we already had like a good relationship. We already
Built
established a
that
good
bond.
bond with our friends and lecturers. So we don't really feel that void between friends and lecturers. Yeah.
Right. Honestly, I will. I relate to that because I was the batch where we started with COVID, so it was
Really?
quite
Yeah.
difficult. But you know, we managed. You know, when you meet people, you just have that spark instantly. But Brother Nabil, we are approaching our last segment for tonight. So just last words of advice, maybe tips to our audience there. Just short and simple. Do you have any advice for those who may want to on the same path as you?
Okay. I don't think so. I could give any uh definite or like any specific advice for everybody there. I could just give you a general one, but just work hard on everything that you want to strive for, because people say efforts won't betray you, right? So if you have given your best, even if you fail, you don't have any regrets, because I've tried my very best. So that's what I work. I mean, that's what I apply on myself. I always like, as my I mean, even towards the end of time, I mean, before we step into the exam hall, I would still be memorizing those formulas and stuff.
Right.
But maybe some people, when they were about to enter the hall, they just want to be chill and relax. But for myself, I would still, memorize the formulas and get
Yeah.
and refresh whatever facts that I could
Remember.
remember during that time. So just give your best, and also find a good circle of friends. Not to say that to be PK with friends, you can be friends with everybody, and know that this group of friends, whether you can maybe for this group of friends you can do exercises with, do your coursework with. But this group of
Yeah.
friends, maybe you can once you have mastered everything, you have memorized everything, you come to them and, okay, let's talk about this, so that
Yeah.
you could polish up your memory.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Nabil, for spending the night
Sure.
talking about our education and all. So, once again, to our audiences out there, I hope you take Brother Nabil's advices and the discussion from tonight with a good heart, and all the best and good luck with your midterms out there. So, once again, thank you to our guests, and to all our audiences, please don't forget to follow IIUM TV social medias on our TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. And with that, it concludes our episode for tonight. Assalamualaikum and a very good night. Thank you.
Thank you.